Oh boy, chapter 10, Going Feral. Going feral? What does that mean? I flopped against a large tree and let out a long sigh, blowing my bangs out of my eyes. Still no luck. Forget finding my way home. I hadn't found any signs of civilization at all. Not surprising, since I had no idea where the heck I even was. I rubbed my forehead, racking my brain to try to remember, how I got in the middle of the woods, how long I'd been gone. Okay, I was like, well, this is kind of strange, because the last thing that happened was Brenna threw the concoction in our face. It burned like crazy. There were voices of us being chased. She ran off. And apparently Grant and Spencer didn't find me? Why the heck my hair was so freaking long? She's back, baby! So did Rule, just get up and walk away? Did Rule get captured instead of us? Oh my goodness, so many questions. It appeared, however, that my annoyingly selective amnesia was back with a vengeance. And why not? The scenario just wasn't complete without it. Wander into the woods, forget everything. Because, hey, let's make it a little more interesting. It wasn't enough to freak everyone the heck out. Let's throw some amnesia into the mix. Because I definitely couldn't be an intrepid heroine without some amnesia, right? Right? Ugh. That said, though, during the last hour or so of me wandering around like a true damsel in distress, I had kind of been having, I don't know, ghost memories. Yeah, how much do you remember this time? I wasn't sure how else to describe them. Little wisps of memory that would surface as I tried to work out my situation. I wasn't totally sure, but I was kind of thinking maybe the family had actually moved back to Pine Hollow. I only vaguely remembered it. There were flashes of a room I didn't quite recognize for sure. It would make sense, though. This area definitely reminded me of the woods near Pine Hollow. Oh boy, it's bad right now. And there weren't any woods near the city. But, I couldn't remember much. And I didn't know why so much of my memory was messed up this time. I didn't even remember buying the jacket I had on. I always did have good taste, though. This jacket is awesome! Good job, past me! If we did move back, does that mean I wandered off right away? When did we move? How did I end up in the woods again? Ugh, damn it! I didn't know. This is very bad, actually, because if Grant and Spencer show up while she's, all amnesiacked, she's gonna be like, why are you so aggro, bro? You were aggro, but you super aggro now. I didn't know any of it. And how was I supposed to get back home when I didn't even know where home was? I am seriously going to start handcuffing myself to my damn bed. Mark in the distance I told you! Whoa. I swayed as I was hit by another of those weird memory things. This one was more powerful than the others, though. It was lurking just at the edges of my mind, and I tried desperately to grasp onto it and remember anything. My bed. I had been trying to not leave my bedroom, right? But why? I stood stock still, trying to rifle through my reticent memories to pull something, anything useful out of them. In my mind's eye, I could see the bedroom. It had my stuff in it, but the configuration was only vaguely familiar. But it was my room. My room in the new house. That's right! We did move. I remembered it clearly now. We moved back to Pine Hollow because of Grandpa. I templed my hands and pressed them to my lips, elated to finally have something to work with. Okay, this was good. If I could just remember more. We moved back, and something about not wanting to leave my room. I felt strange, apprehensive, like something bad had happened. Ugh, but not much more than that. I slammed my fist against the tree bark. Ouch! Yeah, instantly regretted that. Note to self, don't hit trees. I rubbed my knuckles as I looked around. Which way should I even try at this point? There weren't exactly road signs in the middle of the woods. A glance at the sky told me nothing that was particularly helpful. I had no idea which way the sun was moving. It felt like it might be early afternoon? If true, it meant I had a lot of daylight ahead of me. I definitely did not want to be out here at night. It was way too dangerous. Not just the bears and coyotes. I also had to worry about... I faltered. About... something. A feeling of anxiety settled in the pit of my stomach at that thought. I straightened immediately, suddenly on edge. I definitely shouldn't be out here. It was too dangerous. I didn't know why, but I had to get out of here, now. Still unsure where I should be going, I just struck out in the direction I'd been going before. I couldn't stop myself from glancing over my shoulder apprehensively, though I wasn't sure what I expected to be following me. There was a rustle in the brush, but nothing emerged. It was probably a chipmunk, but even so I picked up the pace, picking through the brush as quickly as I could. I didn't even know where I was heading. Maybe further away from civilization rather than toward. How was I even supposed to know? I just wanted to get out of here. Find a search party or some sign of people. Surely someone was looking for me by now. I mean, going by past situations, this would put me at the end of a long disappearance, but... I was smelling pretty fresh for someone who had been missing for a while, so maybe not. Pretty fresh. Is this really the time to be smelling myself? Okay, note to self, fairies do not cut your hair, but they do bathe you regularly, so kudos. Man, I really needed to focus. I could save the analyzing for later. I paused and listened carefully after hearing what sounded like a voice. There was a voice. Someone else was out here. Looking for me or not, I needed to try to get to them. Hey! Hey! I'm over here! Help! I took a step that way, but another pseudo-memory washed over me. I stopped, bracing myself against a tree until it passed. It was night. I was crouching down, huddled against someone, waiting for someone else to pass by. We were outside. But why would I have been outside at night? Wait. No, that... I had been doing that. I'd gone outside at night several times. That definitely happened. But why? Some kind of sleepwalking? I heard someone crashing through the brush toward me and straightened, putting some more distance between myself and where they were coming from, just in case. Okay. So it's come down to this, then. Seconds later, a strange man appeared. He spotted me instantly and came my way, but I backed off again, watching him warily. No one else was with him. Not a search party, for sure. But he also didn't seem surprised to see me. Yet he wasn't at all familiar. Or... wait. He was? Kind of?
Finally tired of running.
What? What's that supposed to mean? He raised an eyebrow, studying me quietly. His eyes lingered on my hair briefly before he took another step my way. Okay, creepy guy.
Why don't you just come with me?
Yeah, no. I'm good. At least my memory still works. Because I'm not sure I trust you. He gave me a thin-lipped smile at that.
It was a rhetorical question.
Wow, no kidding? This guy was definitely acting like he knew me, but something about him put me on edge. He didn't behave like I'd expect of someone who was worried and searching for me. No alerting anyone else, no relief, no questions about where I had been. Something didn't add up. Who are you, exactly? That seemed to surprise him. He lifted an eyebrow and took a step toward me, but I edged away, still wanting to keep some distance between us. Maybe if I can make it past him. I mean, surely if I went the direction he'd been coming from, I'd get somewhere. Eventually.
You really expect me to believe you don't remember me?
Well, you can believe me or not. I don't really care. No offense. I started to slowly edge past him. He stepped directly in my path, and for a moment we had a bit of a showdown. That said, he really is kind of familiar. But that didn't mean I trusted him at all. At that point, it came down to two options. Run away or try to run past him. And I chose the better part of valor and ran away. Because frankly, if I tried to run past him, he'd just hop over and grab me. Even an idiot could see that. In fact, it was barely a choice anyway. Unfortunately, I didn't get very far running away either. Yeah, I kind of figured he would catch you pretty quickly. I'd gone maybe 10 feet when he caught up and wrapped both arms around me, lifting me off the ground. I let out a shriek, kicking both feet and doing my damnedest to headbutt the jerk. Yeah, not very effective. Nora used headbutt. Not effective. Let me go!
Going to go with no on that one.
Put me down!
I'd imagine you're going to tire yourself out before I do. And there's no one around to hear you if you keep this up. Might as well give up.
Yeah, right! I slammed one heel into his shin. Nice. He gasped and jerked back enough that I was able to partially wriggle out of his grasp, but I didn't get far that time either. He yanked me toward him again and swung me over his shoulder, starting to limp through the brush. Well, at least you got a solid kick in. The over-the-shoulder position I was in didn't exactly give me a lot of leverage, but I'd be damned if I was going to go with him without a fight. I drove my elbow toward the back of his head as I yanked on his belt with my other hand.
Damn it!
He staggered forward, nearly dropping me on my head, which, well, I guess that was preferable to being kidnapped. He captured my arm and dragged it over his shoulder so he could pin it to the side of my leg with his other hand.
You're making this more of a pain in the ass than it has to be.
That's the point, you freaking kidnapper! He staggered through the brush, somehow managing to keep a grip on me. It wasn't long before the trees cleared out and I saw a dusty car parked on the side of an otherwise empty road. And next to the car, there was a familiar, hunched figure. Spencer? Spencer? Spencer, help! I don't know why I said it. I regretted it the moment the words were out and he didn't move. Didn't even look up. He's in on this? You are so dead. Oh, this place again. What was it called? Slaughter? And that was how I ended up in an abandoned building in a ghost town, tied up, while my brother and his creepy friend attempted to boil water in an eggshell. Well, I guess I should be grateful that they started with that and not strangling me. For reasons. Oh, and they were filming it. Because clearly they needed video evidence they were both kidnappers and complete morons. This is insane. They'd sat me down next to a dusty pillar, and I'd been trying for the last half hour to get my hands at least slightly loose without them noticing. But that damn Grant person, or whatever his stupid name was, tied knots really well. At the very least, in spite of the, general weirdness of the situation, I'd gathered some information. Wasn't totally sure how useful it was, though. But apparently there were other people out looking for me. I hadn't been gone long, a couple of hours at most. And it seemed like only a few people even knew about it. Mom and Dad weren't among them. I still hadn't quite worked out why I'd gone missing. Or why so few people knew what happened. Grant and Spencer figured out where to look for me based on what the others were up to or something. Because apparently Grant was a stalker, and I don't know. I was fuzzy on the details. I just gathered that Grant was keeping an eye on some people, and when they started acting funny, he'd worked out they were looking for me. Once they figured out my general location, he and Spencer started looking for me while avoiding the others. I kind of started remembering some things. My memories were still a bit broken up, though. But I remembered a purple-haired boy named Elliot. When they said that name, quite a few, embarrassing images popped into my head. I was trying not to think too hard about those. And there was something about a cat. A weird cat. A cat I didn't like, which was odd in and of itself because I typically did like cats. A boy in a red jacket, and a grumpy blonde guy too. And Allie. She was also somehow involved in everything. Marcus remembered last. Well, I guess he was remembered before Allie. Ugh, but so many missing pieces still. And it was hard to really think of anything else when my brother and Grant Mitchell were standing by the door arguing about me. Apparently my lack of surprise over the eggshell thing was really upsetting for them.
None of it is working! You said this would work!
Are you sure about what you read?
It was in her own journal.
It's possible she tried to mislead you.
They were definitely arguing about me, but honestly, I was completely lost. Since we got here, they'd subjected me to a litany of what I can only describe as tests? They touched my shoulder with a pair of scissors, a 4-leaf clover, threw a shirt on my head, a shirt I was pretty sure was my dad's. Also pretty sure Spencer got it from the hamper because it smelled sort of gross. And then there was the whole eggshell thing. But if they were tests, I had no idea what they were trying to test. It was getting pretty late, though. I mean, the sun was already down and light was fading pretty fast. I wasn't sure how long they planned for us to stay out here doing their weird rituals, but I was getting pretty fed up with it. Slaughter wasn't exactly the safest of places at night. If you believe the stories, anyway.
Look, we still have a couple of things to try. We can't say how accurate any of this research is, even if her notes were true.
I want to get it over with. I want her back. Let's just do what I said to do from the start.
Hey, I'm right here. If you want me back, maybe untie me. And I might not tell Mom and Dad you did this. I am totally telling them. Spencer shot me a venomous look that instantly silenced me.
Not you.
Just wait. We're not ready for something that extreme just yet.
Okay, you know what? Maybe Grant has actually kept me from being murdered this time, so I'll give him some points for that, if that is true. He went back to a large duffel bag near some wooden pallets and pulled something else out of it. A bunch of weeds? Okay, is he gonna try like the whole fairy bane? Okay then, looked to me like he was opting for more weird tests. Sure enough, he brought it to me and crouched down.
This would be a lot easier if you just cooperate.
Not really sure what you're expecting me to do. Grant nodded to the eggshell on the tea burner.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that thing's about to catch fire, so you might want to blow that little candle out. Just saying. He scowled and shoved the bunched up weeds against my face. I grimaced and turned my head away to avoid getting a mouthful of some ambiguous plant.
Painful?
No, just annoying. Like you. Yeah, okay, he was totally trying the fairy bane stuff.
Oh, wait. That's St. John's wort, right?
St. John's wort? Why on earth?
She's allergic to that.
Not anymore. I eyed the plant curiously. St. John's wort. Okay, so she's like changed enough in fairy, but not to the point where she's got like the weaknesses of fae, which is interesting. Their voices faded as another memory tried to surface. St. John's wort. That was a fairy bane. It was like a clap of thunder went off in my head. Fairies! They both gave me a startled look, but I was barely paying attention to them. Everything came back to me in a rush. Oh my god! I was a fairy! I mean, I was, previously. Or was I still? Brenna threw that potion in my face, and then everything went black. And then I woke up in the woods alone. There had been a weird sensation like flying, and there were voices singing something sad. That sounded like a lament. And then I woke up. But what was that? What had she done to me? She said it would solve my problem, but the only problem was that I was a changeling. Oh my god, that's what you're trying to do here? I'm so upset, I'm writing in my journal with my hands tied behind my back. Just so you know. Alright. Boo 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 boo. Glamour. I think it's this? I think so. I just want to make sure. I think everything else looks normal? I wonder what that one sentence is. There are several different ways to force a changeling to leave and return the stolen baby if you happen to discover it in time. The methods range from tricking it with unusual behaviors, like boiling water in eggshells, to much more violent things like drowning, burning, or even throwing the changeling on hot coals. The gist is that if you can convince the changeling to leave, the Fae usually return the child they stole as well. The water and eggshells, the iron. They were trying to get the changeling to reveal itself. Me to reveal myself. As a changeling. Except it wasn't working. Was that because I wasn't a changeling? Or because Brenna had done that thing with the potion? I'm so confused.
What's wrong with you?
I glared at him. This was his stupid crusade to prove the paranormal. That's what this was about. None of your damn business. Let me go! And Spencer, are you crazy? He snarled and grabbed my jacket, slamming me against the pillar. Don't call me that! Then don't kidnap me! You don't want to be called crazy, then don't act like it!
Okay, come on.
He tried to pull Spencer off me. Spencer reluctantly let me go, shoving me against the pillar one last time. You got issues, bro.
Let's try a different approach. If this stuff isn't working, we're going to try something a little stronger. We need to get some kind of reaction.
You know what I think we should do.
Not quite ready to set her on fire yet, thank you.
I'm sorry. Did you say set me on fire? They were kidding, right? But at the same time, there were stories about throwing a changeling on hot coals to get rid of it. They weren't really thinking of doing that, right? Even if I was a changeling, how could they even consider that? Spencer was giving me that same hateful look, the one that told me he was dead serious. Oh my god.
Just wait here with her. I'm going to bring some tools back. We will get her to reveal herself. And we will get your sister back. Let's not do anything irreversible just yet.
Remember, Grant, I don't care about your proof. I hope you know that. I just want my sister back.
It's too bad. My thought process was maybe we should appeal to Grant's humanity instead of Spencer. Grant shot me a look, then gave Spencer a curt nod before he headed outside. I had no idea where he was going, but he left me alone with Spencer, and I wasn't sure I wanted to be alone with him at the moment. Still, this was my one chance to get him on my side, if he'd listened to me. Spencer. I mean, he's not going to untie you. And untying you's not going to do much. We've only got one shot. It's me. Come on, man. It's always been me. Don't do this to your sister, please. You have to listen to me, okay? You have to just give me a chance to explain what I know. Now that I've remembered,
Nothing you can say is going to convince me.
just listen! For once in your life, listen to me! You're right that I thought I was a changeling. But I had no idea anything was abnormal about me until we moved back here. I know you don't believe that, but it's true. And you're right that the club is weird. Ever since I found out what was really going on up there, I've been researching about myself. About what happened 5 years ago. Why else would I keep that journal? What other purpose would it serve unless I was also looking for answers?
It looks like you found your answers, then. If you found out what you are, then why are you still here? Why not go back where you came from and give my sister back?
I think I did. Or something. I don't know. Look, you know Brenna from school?
What does she have to do with this?
She's Fae. If you read my journal, then you accept things like fairies being real.
It's not just because of that journal.
Listen, after I ran from you at the school earlier, Brenna found me. She threw some kind of liquid on me. I think she was trying to make the Fae reverse the changeling thing. And look, my hair is longer than it was, right? It has to be related somehow.
I did notice that.
Okay, this is working. Brenna said that I couldn't assume I understood what a changeling was just because I'd read some books. And she wouldn't tell me anything else because she said she didn't want a human to know fairy secrets. Why would she say that if I was also Fae? We're missing something. A huge piece of the puzzle because otherwise it doesn't make sense. There are too many things that don't fit. Let's get out of here while Grant is gone. Find Brenna, ask her...
No! I don't know that I can believe you about that Brenna thing. I didn't see her in the woods with you earlier. Grant said...
Who cares what he said? All he wants is his proof. You think he wants the same answers you want? He's using you because you and I are a convenient way for him to get what he wants. If you let me go, I promise you we'll find answers. I'll tell you everything I know. And what I don't know, we'll find out together. Come on, this isn't you. Tying me up? Threatening me? Hurting me? You're not a bad person, Spencer. Don't do this.
You're wrong. Not a bad person. I'm a terrible person. The worst.
What are you talking about? He crouched down, grabbing my hair and yanking back.
It's my fault you took her in the first place! Did you think I'd forgotten that?
Spencer! Stop it! I don't know what you're talking about! He released me and stepped back, clutching his hand to his chest like touching me burned him.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. That night. That hill.
Hill?
I've dreamed about it all this time. Even more since we got back. I remember what happened back then. I remember.
Spencer, what are you talking about?
I went inside it and you wouldn't let me go.
Wait. What?
Until Nora came and agreed to take my place. Then you monsters came and took her away. And you gave us an imposter in her place.
I agreed to take his place? In a hill? Realization slowly dawned on me. A hill. There had been a hill by our old house. One where we used to play. And Spencer... That's right. You went inside and were gone. How could I forget about that? You were missing for days, and I was with Grandma while the others searched. But I sneaked out to go find you, and when I got there, they wouldn't let you go. But I begged them, and they said I'd have to stay instead. So I promised. But wait. They let us both go home after that, though. I thought they were going to let me stay. But that wasn't what happened, was it? One night. There was one terrifying night. Oh, we're getting more info on this. Because I'm like, what happened? Did she just, like, disappear? Did she walk into the woods? Did she just wake up one day and she, like, the body switch had happened?
They showed up in our room. So many of them.
I remembered staring up at them from my bed. So many strange faces, twisted, distorted. Some ugly and terrifying. And some beautiful. A pale face flashed through my mind. Wild white hair, curved black horns, and icy eyes that felt like they could freeze you in place. I remembered staring up at them and feeling like I was being split in half and pulled into a bottomless well. But then I was back in my bed again and nothing changed. This doesn't make any sense. I remember everything from before that night. I remember going to find you. I remember so many other things from when we were little, Spencer. That time you fell out of Allie's treehouse and broke your arm. That happened before that night. Other things. Reading books in Grandma's study. That time you hid an Easter egg in the house to surprise Mom and Dad, but no one found it for weeks. And the whole house smelled like rotten eggs for a month after. If I'm a fake, why do I remember all those things? Spencer faltered. But at the same time, I remember everything after that night as well. I'm telling you that we're missing something here. Something about how changelings work. Spencer, let me take you to the club room. We'll get someone else to help us. Brenna definitely knows something. Even the murder might be able to help. But I can promise you the one person who doesn't really want to help is Grant. All he wants is his proof. You know that. He wants proof no matter what that means. I will help you get answers. I swear. Because I want them too. He hesitated, and for a long moment I thought he wasn't going to listen. But he finally moved closer and carefully untied my feet first. Okay, don't you die on me here, though. I could almost feel the reluctance to untie my hands, but he did it regardless. Uh-oh.
Spencer, come help me with this.
We both started at the sound of Grant yelling from outside. Spencer glanced toward the door apprehensively. Looked like my window of opportunity had evaporated. He stood and glared down at me.
Don't run. Grant is armed. I don't think he'll hesitate to stop you.
Well, isn't that charming? He is so getting fired after this, I hope you know. He shot me a scathing look as he retreated outside.